Hello and welcome back to Talon 101. Did you know that the RFF stomp still exists in the game? That's right, it's not RFF down 4 anymore because Firecracker takes up down 4 and left foot forward, and it also takes it up in right foot forward. They moved the input to down 3+4. You know what? To me, it makes a lot of sense. Well, no, not necessarily. Here's my logic. It makes a lot of sense because I feel the gusto. I feel the oomph when I press RFF down 3+4. Like, it takes both legs to like really, like you chamber up and then bang, you just stomp on the floor. You see how much water is being pushed out? This is like, not even just water, right? Even on the ground. Bang. See, he breaks the floor too. Like straight up. So I'm like, okay, I'm alright with RFF down 3+4. But if you didn't know, again, it's RFF down 3+4. And this is Hwoarang's safest low. So you saw that, that's not a lie. That is straight up -11. That is the safest low in Hwoarang's arsenal. The next safest one would be like LFS down 4 at -12. Everything else sits around at like -13. That's -13, -13. Of course, this one's launch punchable. If it's -13 again, the jails, blah, blah, blah. And of course, you have the whole paradox on like -1 for this. And if it's not, it's just -12. So like, it's straight up is the safest. Of course, like, down back 4, you can argue that. But if we just talk about being punished or like, having a consequence for throwing out the move, RFF down 3+4 easily could be tied for first place in terms of safety. The only con is that, of course, you can only do it in RFF. So let's talk about its frame data. It comes out at 19 frames. Kind of slow-ish. Is it slow? Hold on. Down back 3 comes out at 19. Oh, so it's not slow. It's just that it's not a high crushing low. It's a standing low. A short standing low. Like, man, is that a short move? You have to literally be... You be stepping on their toes. That's what it is. You're stepping on their toes for +5 on hit. And if it is counter hit, bang! You're getting +15. Is that a +15 without a G? Let's check it. No, it's not. That's +15G. But hey, +15G means... Most especially if I had heat active, you're not going anywhere. And if that's at the wall, man, is that a lot of wall pressure going the opponent's way. But even without the wall, this +15 can be converted really nicely. So again, it leaves him in RFF, so you're pretty much mirroring the RFS2 situation on block. But let's reel it in a bit, right? We talked about so many things, too many tangents. Let's go back to the beginning. Short reaching standing low. Yeah, you kind of really have to be at point blank. Range 0, range 1. Actually, no, not range 1. Range 0, literally. Range 0. You cannot be at range 1. This will whiff. And, it's a strong indicator for the opponent to, like, straight up whiff punish you because you will break the ground. So they'll get visual clarity or stimulus to be like, oh, yeah, I can punish him, like, right now. It doesn't look cool, though. But it's really good for situations where you're at close range. So something like LFS down 4 leaves you at point blank versus the opponent. Your opponent has to think about RFF D+4 in this situation, D+3+4, the RFF jabs and whatnot. So you can sneak an RFF down 3+4 here. So now you transfer from +4 to +5 with a low. You can also do that like after RFF back 2, point blank. You could also do that with RFS 2 because you're also point blank, and it's harder for them to step RFF D+4 now, given like how they changed the pushback on block. So it's really usually the third to fourth option in your mix-up because it's being held up by like the other options that exist. But it's handy as a third to fourth option because, it's like, what if I don't want to risk down 3-4? It's just like, don't worry. You have another low in RFF that could still continue pressure. Because every other stance, well, I guess minus left foot forward. Well, no, left foot forward does have it. Because left foot forward is going to be SS4. Well, technically it's left foot forward and right foot forward. But let's say left foot forward for the sake of discussion. Left flamingo, that's going to be LFS down 4. And then RFS, that's going to be RFS down 4. And for RFF, down 3+4. So you have like an extra low to continue that pressure. So it's just like, okay, when does it track? Well, it doesn't track at 0, that's for sure. So against Lily here, who's the cream of the crop of sidesteps, yeah, so at 0, you're not catching her. Not even a +2. You're not catching her at all. At sidestep left, so let's go back to 0 here. Check it. Nope. +2? Also no. The only time this move really tracks versus sidestep right and sidewalk right is at +4. So the moment you are +4, even if the cameraman does make some magic. Wow, yeah, it does make some magic. Your opponent isn't stepping that at +4. And these are the two +4 situations you always find yourself in in right foot forward most of the time. And typically, Lily's not stepping that. Of course, it doesn't track towards the left whatsoever, even if I put this at +4. No. So, the moment you're +4 and above, yeah, you can consider this. And usually, you'll find yourself in those numbers in right foot forward. And one really quick way to do that is like doing RFS 2, which is like +5 on block. Of course, again, you're still not catching sidestep left, but you are going to catch sidestep right. And it's pretty handy for as long as, I guess, you don't get this kind of camera interaction. I guess that's a con a little bit that you may want to consider. It will, quote-unquote, swap sides. I'm not really going to test this for consistency. Feel free to throw it out in the lab. But yeah, +4, +5 is the moment you start tracking your opponent. And we just go back to the situation on hit. We now come full circle, coming right back up to it. So it mimics RFS 2 on block, which means F1+2 is going to cover a lot of bases for you. Or RFF F1+2, whichever way you want to see the input. And DF2 will always beat sidestep left, but it will not beat sidewalk left. So that part is still open. So even if I change this to like RFF down to +4 and then I DF2, it still whiffs. Go back to sidestep left, and then DF2, whiff. I see. It still kind of quote-unquote mirrors the situation because F1+2 hits. So I guess mirrors in a slightly bad way. Well, it do be. But if you have heat active, then you can start considering DF3+4. So that's really mirroring the situation. It's just interesting. And then I did not expect down 3+4 to DF2 to whiff in this situation. Perhaps it is the distance that happens on hit. So they go from 1.30, 1.20 to 1.30? Yeah, it would seem 1.20 to 1.30. Compared to RFS 2, they stay at 1.2 the entire time. Okay, fair point. But F1+2, DF3+4, down back 4 will pretty much still do the job. So again, it's mimicking the situation. Not the same, but mimicking. But just minus the DF2 if they're stepping. But of course, if you do get this like at the wall, then I guess there's lesser things for them to start stepping because you're gonna just continue laying down the pressure. Actually, DF2 will probably go, no, it doesn't. Okay, fine. Even at the wall, it would still fail. No, it's inconsistent perhaps. Okay. Again, mimicking RFS 2. But yeah, it's really, really strong at the wall. And you just remain in RFF, which is an important point. You're at a reset point in that sense. Or in a place where you can still block and reconsider what to do because, like, let's say your opponent still has heat or their life suddenly went down to, like, rage. So they can pop a rage art, they can pop a heat burst, they can still do an evasive move and whatnot. So it's perfect to be, like, have a spot where you can still have advantage and damage all at the same time. Another small tidbit for this move is that it does hit grounded. So if you do want to follow up, or let's say remain in right foot forward, right? You didn't want to do the plasma blades, you didn't want to do, let's say something like FF3 or RFF FF3. You want something really, really easy. A lot of Hwoarang players did this in like Tekken 7. So like after a counter hit on RFF back 2, you're down 3+4. And you maintain your distance. And this is like optimal distance to throw out RFF DF3. So yes, you do miss out on a lot of damage. So like here you get 33 damage, you get the Waivu Oki into like FF3, which is really, really good. Or if you still keep the right foot forward, you can do a slight dash into RFF DF3, same sauce. But the thing is you have to do that slight dash. If you mess that up, you're gonna get DF3 in left foot forward. So if you don't want to have that problem, then yeah, you may want to consider just doing down 3+4 for the Okizeme, if you're like, this is like your main goal. But if it's not, you may want to just go back to the plasma blades. I don't know, you mix it up, right? So that your opponent, not necessarily optimal, but like changing the rhythm of your opponent is something to consider. Of course, save the best for last. It's plus 15G. So it's just like, okay, what do I do with this plus 15G? Well, I mean, you go for a 50-50, right? So it's just like, what kind of 50-50 you want to go for? I mean, you can go for pretty much whatever. So like, let's put this to punish. And let's tell Lily, can you do a power crush? So like, what's the threshold of like frames you're allowed to press here? So it's gonna go, let's go straight for JFSR. And like, you're in right foot forward already. So it should be an easier JFSR to input. Yeah, it goes in. Clean. The Power Crush didn't even... If the Power Crush doesn't start up, the Rage Art in all likelihood is not going to start up. But, of course, we are in practice mode, so we can test that out. Will the Rage Art actually activate after JFSR? No, it doesn't. So if you are fast enough, you can straight up go for your launcher right away. They can't step, they can't backdash. Like, they're gonna have to... They're sitting in place for that. And since you're already in RFF, down 3-4. Now, of course, yes, that's the risky option. But like, okay, do it again. Why not, right? So let's tell Lily to, like, let's say backdash, right? Let's see if she can backdash plus 15 in this scenario. Oh, apparently she can. But she is not stepping. Or backdashing down 3-4, down back 3, down 4, down back 4. So like all the other lows will go in. But like if your opponent's really just holding back and they're not gonna backdash in that situation, then you can consider looping it back to another down 3+4 besides your fast JFSR. Let's say you don't have a fast JFSR, right? So here's a short list of mids that you should probably be considering for your 50-50 besides all the lows, right? So plus 15, RFF back 2. So you transfer from plus 15 to plus 4 or a potential knockdown, or even plus 6 force crouch on hit, which is perfect. Another one that your opponent can't avoid, RFF D4. Because if it's counter hit, it's great. If it goes on hit, it's also great. And then of course, if it's on block, you meet them with right parabellum kicks, flying eagle, whatnot, depending on like how they react. So that's RFF down 3+4, right? This of a low. I mean, you can feel it, man. Like, Hwoarang's pissed. Whether he's breaking the floor or making the water splash. It's just very short. That's like the only con, besides the fact that it mimics RFS2 and that DF2 doesn't track towards sidestep left in the open. But at the wall, it's slightly inconsistent. So take your bet. But of course, counter hit is just... It's too much to pass up. And it being a low that continues pressure out of nowhere, as it's still the same frames as like down back 3. So it's not as slow. It's just the right speed. Just better frame data. And of course, again, it's safe. Super, super safe. Leo's probably gonna be like the biggest punish for this with like wall standing for 1+2. Most especially if heat dash is active. Or heat is active into a heat dash, right? But yeah, that's everything I know about this stomp. That's been the lesson for this video. Again, I've been Frontier. And thank you for watching.